My coach taught me how to do that. I'm coaching with Mike Putnam out of Virginia, and I think I knew the first month, second month, third month, fourth month. I know what I need to do per month. I knew I was a little behind and the market was acting a little differently. But at the midway point in June, July is really the point where we sit down and we say, okay, we're not going to restructure every month. So let's just look at how we've done now and what we can finish with. We do have a faster market in the fall anyways. It is 115, 120 degrees here in the summer. But I'm just always surprised, and I share with everybody, is agents here, they all go on vacation, right? And they say nothing really sells anyways. We track all our numbers. So I tracked the numbers, and it showed that sales were only down 15 to 20% per month when it was 120 degrees. So I'm glad that they're on vacation.
Hi, I'm Noelle with Todays Brew, where top producing real estate agents share their tips and tricks on taking more listings, making more money, and having fun doing it. On today's episode, we welcome Sammy DeStefano from Scottsdale, Arizona. Hi, Sammy. How are you?
Hey, Noelle. Good seeing you again.
Good seeing you. Tell us a little bit about the Scottsdale market. Is it as hot as the temperatures right now?
Oh, that was an easy one. No, you know what's interesting? I always tell people the average price in Los Angeles is 1.1 million. And just to compare to our market, Scottsdale is 1.05 million for our average. So we are pretty hot. Things are moving very quickly. We're still in the seller's market. And things should be selling in 35 to 45 days if listed at a correct price.
That's a pretty nice paycheck. Not to state anything obvious, but an average, sales price is 1 million. How many transactions are you doing right now?
The goal this year, it started out at 60 deals in the year. That was because of what I was on pace for the year prior. The market's changed so much. So my goal now is 45 closed units or sides. A lot of times we'll represent both the buyer and the seller on the transaction. And then my stretch goal is 60. So we're always pushing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, now did you realize halfway through the year that you were on par or below par for what you wanted to do and then readjust your goal, or did your coach kind of teach you how to do that?
My coach taught me how to do that. Yeah. I'm coaching with Mike Putnam out of Virginia. And I think, I knew the first month, second month, third month, fourth month. I know what I need to do per month. I knew I was a little behind and the market was acting a little differently. But at the midway point in June, July is really the point where we sit down and we say, okay, we're not going to restructure every month. So let's just look at how we've done now and what we can finish with. We do have a faster market in the fall anyways. It is 115, 120 degrees here in the summer. But I'm just always surprised, and I share with everybody, is agents here, they all go on vacation, right? And they say nothing really sells anyways. We track all our numbers. So I tracked the numbers, and it showed that sales were only down 15 to 20% per month when it was 120 degrees. So I'm glad that they're on vacation.
Exactly, right? Like the ones that take off for the holidays, the other agents are still making calls through Christmas to New Year's, and everyone else says, oh, let's go on vacation. Same with 4th of July. And
similar. And I'm glad, because I can't afford to take 6 months off work. So I'm glad homes are still selling.
I don't think anyone can afford to take 6 months off work. And you're definitely not taking 6 months off and hitting 60 plus transactions or 45 plus. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit about your history. When did you get into real estate?
I got licensed in early 2020. Maybe mid 2020. So I'm at the 3.5 year mark. There was a little time in there that I stopped working, so I don't count that. Or if I did, I would be a little over 4 years at this point.
That is really impressive. So 3.5 years and doing the amount of deals that you're doing. Did you start right off the bat doing that?
I joined Mike Ferry real estate coaching within my first 6 months of the business. So my first year, I think we closed 25. It was 25 or 30 transactions myself.
Golly, look at you! That is so incredible.
Thank you. And it was just my coach, It was
I was going to ask.
I know if I went back and never hired a coach, it wouldn't have been a reality.
It's almost like the questions I'm going to ask you. So you said we a couple times. Are you on a team or is it just yourself?
Yeah, it's myself. And then I just say we because I have a transaction coordinator. The way I was taught the business was to look at the different parts of the business, look at what they pay me per hour, what I excel at, and then to cut out the rest. So like filling out paperwork or forms, I could say that's probably worth $5 to $8 an hour. And thankfully I'm worth more than that an hour. So I spend my time prospecting, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, finding buyers, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So you delegate, which is a big part of our coaching system that we're both in. There's a big portion of day, maybe 2, that talked about delegating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's a full-time assistant and myself, but that's.
So did you get the full-time assistant in the first 6 months when you got into Mike Ferry as well, or you waited a little while? And what did that? Okay, so you waited. Were you like drowning in tasks every single day, and you just couldn't handle it anymore, or were you thinking, I want to do more, and I know I can't do it on my own?
Good question. Really good question. I laugh because when I think back to when I first joined real estate we had something called a transaction coordinator or a TC in the industry, and you just pay a portion. I think it was like $500 or $600 per transaction back then for them to do all the paperwork. Other agents honestly thought I wasn't very good at the business because I would tell them I don't even know how to fill out the forms. I know how to fill out the listing agreement, and that's it. And that was like how my coach designed it to be. He said, I don't want you even knowing or being competent in how to do forms. Back then, I wasn't working with buyers. I wasn't working with anybody buying a house, just the sellers. Mm-hmm. I think the intention there was just to really hone in and get good at one thing because it's not even close to the same job as to help a buyer. Mm-hmm. These days, I do both successfully, which is awesome. And I hired the full-time assistant 3 months ago, and that's a salaried position. That was a little scary. I only did that as my coach. So
because you're responsible for someone else now.
Yeah, it's a little
another
scary.
Mouth to feed, but that's also probably really good for accountability. You have to show up. You have someone relying on you now.
Yeah, she texted me, where are you? Right? If I don't, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no pressure or anything, Sammy.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I would hire her even if she didn't do the paperwork just for that. To get into the office on time. It was a really good point you made. Sometimes we don't feel like working. We're not perfect all the time. But if I know she's going to be there at 8 a.m. and she's going to be there at 8 a.m. because that's her job to be there, then now my job is to be there 7:50. Or 7:30. So
like a trainer at the gym, you get a trainer. You get a trainer because you have to be there. They're waiting for you to show up.
Yeah, really good parallel.
And then you could really just, after a couple of years, you might be like, okay, I'm fine. But you can't do that. Not when you're doing as much production as you're doing and as many transactions. Like you need your assistant forever. But the accountability side of it will probably already be embedded in your head.
I hope so, yeah. My coach says that his goal in the next couple years, so he says the next 2 years, he'll be extremely upset and disappointed and maybe stop coaching me if he can't get me to 100 closed units in a year. So it's fun to hire someone that has more belief in you than you have in yourself.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at. And so I could see getting there if I keep listening to him.
So let's talk about your prospecting schedule a little bit. You're doing 45 plus deals, absolutely killing it 3.5 years in the business. You're not doing it by not doing nothing. So what are you doing?
Well, Sotheby's is actually the whole reason I started working with Sotheby's. It was just in this last year. Mm-hmm. They're the only international firm in Arizona. Now, in the beginning of my career, I didn't think that mattered. What I realize now is many of my clients live across the country. They have multiple properties, and the international aspect helps them sell houses a little quicker because we're not just marketing to the Arizona market. We're global, and so it sounds fancy. But when I started at Sotheby's, I actually started prospecting earlier. So I start at 7:15 a.m. because when I call at 7:15 a.m., it's not 7:15 a.m. for my clients. They might be in New York or in the South or the Midwest. Central time is 2 hours ahead. Eastern time is 3 hours ahead. And so it makes it easy to call more people. And I've got a few in Hawaii, so that's the other way. So I can call, some nights I can call into 6, 7 p.m., on the days I'm going to be working a long time. And it's not disruptive to them because they're local time. So,
yeah.
So
how many hours a day on a day? Are you prospecting 5 days a week?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So Monday through Friday, have you ever done Saturdays?
Yeah. I've gone through stretch seasons where Saturday and Sunday is a thing. Sunday's more so in the evening, like 3, 4, 5, 6 p.m. Saturdays are just good because we're all off work, or
Yeah. How are you received? How are you received on the weekends? Is it more of a friendly tone on the other end versus? Yeah, I would think so too. So why are more people doing it?
Yeah, they're kicking back, drinking a beer on Saturday. They're off work, and so they'll
Sammy, come on over.
Yeah, exactly. So a fair amount of our business is done on the weekends, or I would say procured, like the appointment and qualifying the appointment happens in the evenings or on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
And then I joke with agents in here, I'm like, I don't know why we work all day. We should really show up and start calling at 4 p.m. And instead of calling from 7 to 2 or 3 p.m., we can maybe just go from 4 to 6 because everyone's available, and it might be more efficient.
But what do you do when you have call reluctance? How do you get out of that?
I think Mike Ferry shared something pretty special at our real estate conference 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas. He said, because we all have reluctance, like there's agents that are selling 200-300 homes a year, prospecting over 8 hours a day. Because even those agents get scared at times or in their head or embarrassed, is call some of your past clients so that you can let them brag on you and affirm you and you're the best agent and maybe give me a referral. A lot of times they say, I know someone that could use your level of service because they're planning on moving. And there's nothing that's going to get your attitude up quicker than talking to someone that already loves you. So you go from that.
It's a good mindset hack.
Yeah. I was doing it this morning. It happened this morning. I had talked to a few people that really loved me because I just did the impossible for them. And then I started calling expireds and canceleds. And those are people that have just recently fired their agent. Even the rudest responses I was getting, I was laughing and I was like, Noel, you don't understand. Absolutely. It's none of my business where you're moving. The reason, you're not going to get the opportunity to have me help you get there in the time you're wanting, though. So that's why I have this next question. And I just pushed through because my mindset was, these people over here were strangers 2 months ago. Now they're like my biggest fans.
Mm-hmm.
And this person on the phone right now that's upset that I called him so early is about to be my biggest fan. So it's my responsibility to keep him on the phone, get him to where he's wanting to go. So it's just a mindset change, but it took me a long time to realize that.
Oh, 100%. It's all, we're our biggest roadblock. We know that. So, but I love how you just said that. You're like, these people are going to be my biggest fan. I'm going to help them out. And that's another way on just, I'm trying to think of the word, but I can't. But and along the lines, the chanting. Why is my brain failing on that? When you chant affirmations, help me out. So do you use affirmations?
Yeah. I used to chant them in the beginning. Now what I do is like the sales tips the sales tips and skills that Mike shared at the Vegas retreat. I came back the first day back. My hand almost fell off, but I wrote out all of them. There was 200 points. So he says, write them out in pen. And then my mastermind, a very impressive agent in my mastermind said, you know what I do after I write them out? I open my memo app on my iPhone and I just record myself reading all of them. And when I go to appointments, I play it through the Bluetooth. And you can do that with affirmations. I've done that before. You can do that with the sales tips. And it's like, it gets our negative mindset out of there so that we actually have the true ability to help the client that we're going on the appointment with.
Absolutely. And I guess, it would work as well just for scripts too, just embedding it in your head and internalizing them. as far as script going goes, how did you write them out?
Well, and I was back then, how I learned how to do it, I was watching like great people like you that actually take your time to do a podcast of these top producers. And what was once a secret is now they're just sharing it. And so I did some of the crazy stuff. So in the beginning, I mean, I think Mike Ferry says, repeat it every morning, write it out for 30 days, and then read it as fast as you can so you can't even understand what you're saying. And then read it really slow, and then chant it as you're jumping. But I would record it, play it over and over and over and over. And then I would record my listing presentations that I did. So on my way to a listing presentation, when I was a little newer in the business, I would play a recording of the last listing presentation. I actually got hired at that appointment.
Okay.
So by the time I'm pulling up to the appointment, I just listened to the entire process of me being hired.
So what would it take for you to chant and jump one of your scripts right now?
Yeah, all of I'll do it. It's, you know what's funny? I want to share something that's like my script. We never stop practicing scripts. So some of these producers on stage with Mike Ferry or Tom Ferry, they're always asked, do you still practice?
Yeah.
We're selling 200 homes, and they go, I practice 2 hours a day. That was always hard for me to believe. But now I'm learning differently than I've ever learned before. I don't know where I got this. Maybe my parents. Mike Ferry in the beginning, he always said, in order to learn your script, you're going to read it. And then you memorize it. And so you're listening on the phone, but you're really not listening. You're just like, you're visually going over the sentences in your head. Yeah. And you're like, well, we're not selling. And I'm like, ooh, I know that one. Where would you move if you did so? And you can tell that I don't know what I'm saying. When you internalize it, I can now watch your face. I can listen to your tone. It's not even about your words. It's never about the words. I can listen to how you're reacting with me and how you're sitting and everything else. And not to make it sound too complicated, but like I can truly see and hear you.
Yeah.
So then the script is easy, right? Like I've done it thousands of times. So I just pull out the questions. This is appropriate. This is appropriate. So we call it dancing in the scripts now. My coach and I, Michael Putnam, we call it dancing in the scripts because sometimes it's 20% of this one, 30% of this one, and then a few like one-liners from this one that gets the appointment. And not to drag on, but I haven't heard anybody say this. I've been sharing it with my mastermind, and they're like, oh, we're going to try to do that now. Mike Ferry, for anyone who's seen him, is hilarious and entertaining. The way he moves, the way he responds to you. I've stood up in the middle of his conventions before where he asks us, stand up if you have a question. He brought me a mic. I asked him a question. And in the middle of me asking, he goes, stop, sit down. That's not a question. And I'm like, holy cow.
No surprise there. No surprise there.
But I was like, this is how he communicates. Like this, he lives life this way. This is weird. It's crazy. So now I watch how he communicates. So if you watch Tony Robbins, if you watch Noelle LaFerme, right? If you watch how people do these podcasts, even me with my hands, I watch how they speak. And then like we all have these little things that we like saying. I feel like I say, it's called normal. I say that a lot, and it gets people to agree to things. But it doesn't mean they're not true either. And so now I watch how people speak, and I copy their mannerisms, not mirroring and matching my client, but starting to become my coach.
Okay.
And kind of doing life the way they do things, not just how they tell me to do things.
And any good agent would say that humbly.
At least do that.
Humbly, like you just did. But I think that you've provided so much value today, and I'm excited to see what comes from you because 3.5 years, and it's pretty freaking cool, pretty phenomenal. So I hope you're proud of yourself because I'm guessing you're pretty young too. So you're showing a lot of people that you can get into the business. You can only be 3.5 years in. You also, with the younger you are, people always say, oh, but you're a baby. What do you know? You always hear things like that. And that's not true. It's you have the skills, and that's because you've done that through your coaching and showing up every single day. So you're an inspiration for a lot of new people and newer agents and agents that haven't been in the business a long time. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
If we want to send you some business, how can we do that?
Yeah, I like Instagram, Facebook, and just the phone the best. Okay. So my phone number is 919-454-6482. And then if you pull up, I think I've done enough posting and other, thankfully I've had other people interviewing me on podcasts and stuff. So now if you Google Sammy DeStefano, pops up.
Okay.
So
love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that I appreciate you having me on and taking the time. That was fun.
Yeah.